So, wow, I was surprised to see this morning when I woke up that the Buckeyes game against Illinois was canceled. Sad, thinking, that's the middle of my Saturday. Speaking of athletes and coronavirus testing, do you know that doctors and nurses also like sports often? Not all of them, but some of them really like it and like the normality or the normalcy that we feel from following sports teams. But it's true also that it feels a big question mark in those special people that care for our health, especially during this challenging time, that they've noticed that those who are athletes have access to far more testing than even our medical professionals. Even some statistics on that. Since the NFL season began, since the camps opened, the training camps, this league, the NFL, which I follow, many of us follow, which generates $15 billion into this country's revenues, that they have conducted over 645,000 coronavirus tests. Major League Baseball, during its shortened season, conducted over 170,000 tests for the virus. And last week, the National Nurses United, the country's largest nursing union, released the results of a survey that said of their more than 15,000 members, saying that 2/3 of those had never been tested. One nurse said, "There's an endless supply of tests in the sports world. You're throwing your arms up. I like sports," she said, "as much as the next person, but the disparity between who gets tested and who doesn't make any sense." Advent in turbulent times. Are we turning a corner? That would be a theme for us as we gather and worship, as we prepare for Christmas. COVID changes things. The class of 2020, our high school students, our college students, as they enter the job market later this coming year. In the fall of 2019, they were primed to enter into one of the most robust job markets in history. In the fall of 2019, the U.S. unemployment rate was at a 50-year low at 3.5%. And now, instead, they face one of the most challenging job markets for young people in decades. 25% of employers say that they've closed their open positions. A record number of these young people are living at home. 52%, according to surveys. Our generation, that was more like 30%. Facing repayment of education loans, social isolation, and emotional strain. And these are just a couple of stories, little places where my mind goes as I reflect on Advent in this year 2020, and where we find that we are undergirded by God's presence and God's strength. Leah Cuthbertson is a young woman who wrote a meditation called "When Life Sucks." Like, worse than you were late for a class, or you tripped and skinned your knee. Sometimes the pain is deep and there are no words. You can't even cry because it just hurts, and there is no Band-Aid, no happy answer, no words anyone can say to make it all better. It just hurts. She goes on to say, somewhat surprising, and that's okay. Because in the pain, in the tears, in the processing and the roller coaster emotions, there he is. When it hurts bad and I don't know which way is up, he is there. He is steady. He is a firm foundation. He's a refuge and a strength. Oh, even though I am unworthy, he is worthy. And he makes us worthy. And that made my mind remember the story of Stefano Buzzini, aged 81. Have you seen this story, this Italian man? Prevented from visiting his sick wife in hospital, Stefano Buzzini decided to take to the street outside of her hospital window to serenade her on his accordion. And while Carla Sacchi, his wife of 47 years, watched from that second floor window of the hospital in Castel San Giovanni, in this northernmost Italian town, she heard love songs. Our God is so present, and our God generates his love, his embrace. The mayor of that town said the disease had broken their embrace, and this love re-engages it. Our God comes even in our times. As hard as it is to say, I choose to sing even when I'm hurting. In choosing this, I choose him. I choose his way. He is molding my heart and showing me how utterly strong and beautiful and gentle he is. And yet he comes. And yet he comes. Even if there's discord and distraction and complaining, and yet the sun still rises in all of its beauty. Even when we miss that, when we go through days where we are grumbling and we are frustrated and we don't see that horizon, even when we're so caught up in the things of this world that we don't appreciate the beauty in the lives and the people around us. Even when we're distracted over how cold it is, or the coffee is not warm, or where the best view is, he comes in all his brilliance into our mess. In all of it, he still comes. He still makes beauty. He is faithful, and it is beautiful, and he is utterly worthy of praise. Even when I'm the one complaining, when I'm distracted and I don't see his beauty, when I miss all of the things and the blessings, yet he comes to comfort, to embrace, and to wipe away tears. He loves us. And that is good news. Good news worth celebrating. And all my heart can do in these days is worship him and praise him. Yet he comes.